Welcome, everyone. This is Southern Belle 74. How have you guys been doing? I know it's been a while since I went live, but a lot's been going on. Life has been happening, and so I am back. And hopefully I'll have a more consistent schedule. All right, I'm going to do my top 4 trending topics of this week. The first topic I'm going to get into is something that I'm super duper proud about, and that is Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. When I tell you I am so super excited and elated about her getting confirmed and being the first African American woman on the Supreme Court. How amazing is that, guys? Let's get into it.
President Biden celebrating the historic confirmation of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. ABC's White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks is in Washington with more. Mary Alice, good morning.
Well, good morning. The president yesterday marking a campaign promise kept and cementing a key part of his legacy. There was this moment at the start. The vice president was talking about the history being made with Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, now the first black woman confirmed to the highest court. And President Biden joyfully interjected, "About time." And that has been his message, that he thought it was about time the Supreme Court looked more like America. Flanked by 2 black women he helped promote, President Biden all smiles Friday, celebrating the confirmation of his first Supreme Court nominee, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, and the history she has now made.
This is going to let so much sun shine on so many young women, so many young black women.
The president said he knew it would not be easy for the first black woman nominated to the highest court, but argued that the questions she faced during her hearings amounted to verbal abuse.
In the face of it all, Judge Jackson showed the incredible character and integrity she possesses. Poise.
Judge Jackson then taking the podium herself, with humility thanking many in the crowd by name.
No one does this on their own.
Her 2 daughters in the front row. Back in 2016, Layla wrote to then President Barack Obama, asking him to consider her mother for the high court. That dream now about to come true.
It has taken 232 years and 115 prior appointments for a black woman to be selected to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Jackson moving from herself to her place in history, quoting the renowned poet Maya Angelou.
I do so now while bringing the gifts my ancestors gave. I strongly believe that this is a moment in which all Americans can take great pride. We have come a long way toward perfecting our union. In my family, it took just 1 generation to go from segregation to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Now, Judge Jackson will take her oath and her seat on the bench this summer, likely in June or July when the court finishes its sessions for this year and Justice Stephen Breyer retires. Janae?
So much history to celebrate. Mary Alice, thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA.
All right, guys, let's move into our next story, and it's about the newest variant. It's a subvariant in the fight against COVID-19. Omicron has now mutated again into subvariant BA2. Let's learn about it.
Growing concern about a new subvariant of Omicron, now the dominant COVID strain in the U.S. It's called BA2, and according to the CDC, it makes up more than 72% of positive cases nationwide. So let's bring in Dr. Celine Gounder, editor-at-large for public health at Kaiser Health News and an infectious disease specialist and epidemiologist. Dr. Gounder, good morning. I guess we should point out it's great to see you well, because the last time we met like this, I was unknowingly COVID positive and found out about 5 minutes after you left set. So you're healthy.
I am healthy.
Aren't you like, good to see you, Tony?
But now you can be pretty confident that I'm in good shape.
Yes.
You know, get that immunity the old-fashioned way.
Yes, yes.
I wanted to begin with a general question, which is the governments of our country seem to be putting responsibility back on individuals to decide how to handle the pandemic. So how should people be thinking through both their personal risk and how they expose others?
Well, I think that's precisely how you should break it down. What is my personal risk? So what is my personal health risk? What is my personal job risk? So, for example, you and I, if we have COVID, we can't be on set. If I have COVID, I can't be at my job in the hospital. And then finally, what is the risk to the most vulnerable people in your life? So maybe it's your grandmother, maybe it's that 6-month-old child. So I think that's how I break down how do you think about the risk. The CDC does have a website that shows you community transmission and community risk. I would be careful in interpreting those numbers, that green, yellow, red. It really tells you if you get sick, the hospitals will be able to take care of me with normal standards of care versus crisis standards of care.
I just don't trust their personal responsibility. I don't think people tell the truth about it. Now you can go to restaurants, you can go anywhere. They're not asking to see your vaccines anymore. So you're in a room with a bunch of people. You don't know if they're vaccinated, not vaccinated. How are we supposed to move in the world these days? Who are we supposed to trust? What are we supposed to do?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, the only people we can ultimately trust are ourselves, and knowing that we can do the right thing, we can get vaccinated. If we have symptoms, we can get tested. If we're infected, that we stay home from work or we don't go to school. I think things are about to get a whole lot harder for people, though. The government funding for testing and vaccination, treatment for people who did not have insurance, that money has run out. And so now you're going to start having to pay for things out of your own pocket.
Yeah. There's another new subvariant of Omicron called XE that was found in the UK. Should we be concerned about it here in the U.S.?
I wouldn't get too alarmed about this just yet. It's basically a cross between the original Omicron and this new BA.2 Omicron. We don't know a lot about it yet, but it doesn't really seem to be more of a threat than the original Omicrons.
So cases are declining here, but they're rising in the UK, and there's been a Shanghai lockdown. Is what is happening overseas a sign of things to come for us?
It could be. It's a little early to say. I would look to the UK as the best predictor of what may be in store for us. And there are some concerning signs. So they are better vaccinated than we are, especially their elderly are better vaccinated and boosted. And of course, they're the ones that are highest risks. And we're seeing hospitalizations go up, nevertheless, in the UK. So we are sort of, on watch, and we'll see what happens.
Where do you stand on that fourth booster? Because now they're saying people 50 and over should get it. Do you think that you need to do that? Do you think everybody should get it? And if you do, is it okay to mix the vaccines? Does that make a difference?
So if you're over 50 and you want a booster, you can absolutely get a booster. The recommendations...
Should you? Yeah.
Yeah, the recommendations are if you're over 50 and you have a chronic underlying medical condition, let's say diabetes, that you absolutely should get that fourth dose. Not everybody knows if they have one of those underlying medical conditions, and so that's why the guidance is pretty flexible.
But what if you're over 50 and you're healthy? Do you think you should get it?
I think that's really up to you and your personal, discretion, depending on your sense of risk. But you are absolutely eligible if you're over 50 to go get one.
But are you better covered? That's what I'm saying. I'm over 50, but I'm thinking, are you better covered if you get it? Or does it make a difference? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so if you've already had 3 doses, you get a 4th dose. The data from Israel shows you have a temporary, maybe 3 to 4 month boost in your immunity.
So that's it?
On top of what you already have. So I think the key message is that your 3 doses already do a lot to protect you.
Dr. Sling-Gounder, thank you so much. Valuable information. And Gail, I would have thought early 40s. You don't look
All right, guys. I really enjoyed that segment. I thought Gail really asked some very good questions. It's really up to the individual is what it boils down to. Only you know what is best for you. I have members of my family who have not been vaccinated at all. I am fully vaccinated, and if they offer a 4th one to me, because I do have 2 autoimmune diseases, I will definitely get that 4th, 5th, and 6th booster, because at the end of the day, I'm doing it for my own health and my own well-being. I have type 2 diabetes, and I have Crohn's disease. So with those 2 autoimmune diseases, it puts me at a higher risk because my immune system is being suppressed with the medications that I take, the steroids that I take for the Crohn's, and the medication that I take for my diabetes. So like when you guys get sick, like recently I had the flu, and when I tell you I was something sick, I was sick. It takes me longer to recover than the normal person. You get a cold in 2 or 3 days, you can be back up and running. For me, it could put me out of commission for 2 weeks. So it just depends on the person. You know, at the end of the day, we still live in a democracy, and it's up to you. All right, let's move into our third topic, and this one is such. These last 2 cases are very, very sad, unfortunately. Let's talk about the young lady who took her child to a swim meet. Her ex followed her to the swim meet and ultimately shot her and killed her. This is such a disturbing story, guys. Let's get into it.
A man accused of killing his wife at a Jewish community center yesterday appearing in front of a judge today. Tonight, we're learning more about the suspect, 45-year-old Carl Watts Jr., who's also being directly linked to the mysterious disappearance of his former girlfriend. CBS 4's Ashley Dyer is live from the community center in Northeast Miami-Dade with more tonight. Ashley?
Lauren, this is just an unimaginable, huge loss for the Shondell Harris family. Police say her husband, Carl Watts, shot her at least 7 times right in front of her daughter while she was in the middle of a swimming lesson.
Miami police say on Saturday, the day before this happened, Watts was reported to police for stabbing Harris. Miami police say they were actively looking for Watts to arrest him for the stabbing, but unfortunately, he got to Harris first. According to a police report, moments before the shots were fired, Watts offered his wife money to drop the charges against him. When she refused, he took out a firearm and shot her until she collapsed. Shondell Harris was just 30 years old. Today, Watts appeared in court, his hands cuffed in front of him. He said nothing as a judge upped the homicide charge he's facing.
He should be poisoned in first degree. He went there to the JCC with a gun. Guns aren't allowed in the JCC. And then he shot the victim multiple times.
Watts has an extensive criminal background. He's a person of interest in the mysterious disappearance of Trikita Scott, a Fort Lauderdale woman who shares a child with Watts. And about a month before she went missing, Watts was accused of trying to kidnap a 16-year-old girl from a bus stop. He was arrested, but bonded out of jail. Today, the family of Shondell Harris is left wishing he had been put behind bars years ago.
My cousin, she's humble. She's very quiet. She's a great mother. You know, she didn't deserve this.
A horrible tragedy. Ahead at 6, we're digging more into this case and speaking with an expert about domestic violence and its role throughout our society, especially in the midst of a global pandemic. For now, we are live at the Jewish Community Center. Ashley Dyer, CBS 4 News.
All right, guys, and that just goes to show you, sometimes you don't even know who you're living with, who you're in a relationship with. It makes you question, do you really even know people? I think a lot of times we think we know our significant other, or you've been together for a certain amount of years, but at the end of the day, do we really know people? You know, it's really sad. I'm kind of shocked that the fact that he stabbed her, but you know what? It takes me back to how oftentimes in domestic violence situations, the women, and it can be men too, because it's vice versa, they will not press charges. They'll take the person back, not even knowing that they're really playing with their lives. You know, when people tell you, I want to kill you, I want to harm you, don't take those threats lightly. Don't think, oh, he's just saying that or she's just saying that. Sometimes people snap for reasons we don't even know. So it's truly sad. And I'll continue to keep you guys posted as the trial comes and all that other stuff in the upcoming. It's just sad. That's why I really, really advocate for people who have suffered or been victims of domestic violence, because I myself have been a victim of domestic violence. And I also advocate for children, the elderly, people who can't defend themselves. I'm always going to advocate for them. All right. Just like I said, if you see something, say something. It doesn't cost one dime to make an anonymous call. It could end up saving someone's life. let's move into our final story and trending topic of the week. And this one was another heartbreaking story. It involves the Sacramento shooting that happened early this week. Now we're learning that suspects are they're being found out. People are dropping dimes on them, and they're getting arrested. I've heard now that there's a second individual, but the video clip that I'm going to show you guys is just going to be of the first suspect.
We start with police looking for several people responsible for a mass shooting in Sacramento over the weekend. 6 people were killed, a dozen more hurt when the bars there let out early Sunday morning. NBC News correspondent Guad Venegas is in Sacramento for us. So, Guad, what do police know right now? And what can you tell us about the shooters they're looking for today? Have they arrested anybody yet?
Allison, they just released new information. They've made one arrest, one suspect, 26-year-old Dondre Martin was arrested. He's being charged for assault and possession of a illegal firearm. That information just came in minutes ago. We know this investigation had been going on. They had been asking the public for some help. Now, this new information that was just obtained says that they also executed 3 different warrants in different residences. They've recovered a weapon. We knew that they had recovered a stolen handgun at the scene. That's something we had found out yesterday. They're also moving forward, identifying more of the suspects. Now, we've also been hearing a lot about the security cameras that are in this area. A lot of these businesses had security footage that could have been used for the investigators. So for now, we know that one suspect has been arrested. We also knew that there were multiple shooters at the scene. And the police chief has also told NBC News that at least 2 different types of guns or weapons were used during the mass shooting, Allison.
Quad, tell us about the victims. What do you know about them?
Right. So today they've also released the names of the 6 people that lost their life during this mass shooting. We know that 12 others were taken to hospitals, but today the 6 that lost their life were identified: 3 women, 3 men. We met Pamela Harris. She's the mother of Sergio Harris, who died outside one of these businesses that night. She spoke to us and told us how she felt when she heard the news that her son had been shot and killed.
He was a good person. He was always there to help others, you know. And I don't want his death to go down as, oh, did he do something wrong? He was doing like anybody else was doing, trying to get the heck out the way. It just so happened he got struck by the bullet.
Now, Pamela went as far as calling this a massacre. We know from the videos that were uploaded to social media that showed what appeared to be a fight before the shooting. We know that the gunfire went on for more than 40 seconds, continuous gunfire. When we arrived yesterday, we actually saw the casings, the bullet casings all across the street. Police have now informed that they've recovered over 100 shell casings from this area as they move forward with this investigation.
Quad, Sacramento police are thanking the public for their help with their investigation. What are they saying? How did average folks play a role here?
Right. So what we know, as you mentioned, this happened when a lot of these bars were closing. So people were leaving. These streets were crowded. That's why there was these large crowds at the moment that this happened. Right. So because of that, police had asked for the public's help. There was a lot of videos and photos that were taken the moment this all happened. So they asked any witnesses to submit them. Today, they are thanking the public, saying they received over 100 photos and videos that helped them with the investigation as they made the announcement that they arrested this 26-year-old suspect.
Guad Venegas in Sacramento, thank you so much.
All right, guys. Truly a sad, sad situation going on in Sacramento. Please check out my backup channel. Let's Talk About It with Southern Belle 74. And then my main channel, which is Southern Belle 74, where I do celebrity entertainment and news. I'm going to close out with my latest 2 award show fashions. I'm giving you red carpet realness. We're going to do the Oscars and then the Grammys because these were the 2 most recent. And I'm also working on an amazing wedding video, guys. So please come to my channel and check me out. You can also catch me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and of course on Spreaker. I do the Weekend Tea with Southern Belle 74. All right, guys, have a blessed week.
Yeah.